What's up, everybody? Happy Sunday. You are watching The Sweat, presented by DraftKings on Bally Sports Network. And happy Halloween. We got 1 hour of spooky DFS and sports betting advice coming your way. But before all that, let me remind you, it's week 8, which means that there is another Millie Maker contest live in the DK lobby. So this week you can compete for a prize pool of $3.5 million, with $1 million going to the winner. It's only $20 to enter. So while you're getting your Halloween costumes ready, everybody, pop on over to DraftKings and enter for your shot at $1 million. Plus, the winner also earns a seat to our DraftKings Tournament of Champions, the ultimate DFS contest for the best of the best in fantasy. It's going to take place in January, where guess what? The winner is going to have another chance to compete for $1 million and that sweet ring. We have just under an hour to lock, so go check out that contest now. So we're going to spend the next hour trying to give you some help building those lineups, fantasy. We're going to talk sports betting, and we like to start with the sports betting. So to do that, I'm going to send it over to my co-host, the Emerson Lotzia.
Oh! All
right.
TV's Jessie Coffield.
She's on TV a lot. She's on TV a lot.
Oh, I'm supposed to clap.
I really liked the commercial recently. She's like staring at the chicken wing, and she's like, winner, winner, chicken dinner.
Yeah.
Adorable
Chicken.
stuff.
It's great stuff.
That is phenomenal. Speaking of great stuff,
Yeah.
how about your
Theater
favorite
major.
bets
Oh,
today?
sorry.
I am a former theater major. I'm an actor. Anyway, Reed T. Fowler, Steve Buchanan, Julian Edlow, all DraftKings contributors here. This is Early Edge. They are going to give us their favorite bets of the day. Just looking back on last week, though, real quick.
Yeah.
Congratulations to Steve.
Obviously.
You had a nice win with your bet last week, which was what? Green Bay -8 over Washington.
Yep.
Jules also had a dub last week.
Nothing
He had a
new there.
6-point teaser with Green Bay and the Patriots. Congrats. And then Reed. Reed was not here. So you didn't win or
Yeah.
lose.
Take it.
Let's start with you. Bukes, what is your favorite bet today?
Yeah, so this line has gone down a little bit since this morning, but the Bengals -11 going against the Jets. I mean, come on. Look, I understand that this is a huge spread that they need to cover here, but this is going against the former 5th-round pick, household name Mike White from the Cowboys back in 2018, getting the start for the Jets here, going up against a defense that, quite frankly, what do we got now? 11 and a half?
11 and a half.
Look at that. You go on air, line movement, because Stevie Bukes is talking about it. But truly here, I mean, this has been one of the better cover teams in the league. They're 4-3 against the spread, but they're doing so by an average of 9.4 points. That is the best, second best in the league, only behind the Buffalo Bills. I think this is going to be a no-brainer here. I would take this up, quite frankly, to 13 and a half if I really wanted to get, but truly, where are the Jets going to stop the Bengals?
Yeah, I know. Jules, do you believe, though, Cincy may take its foot off the gas a little bit?
Probably not, but I'm just not going to lay the 11.5 based on value. Now, I'm not going to bet on the Jets. This line over the summer was 1.
Over the summer.
It went to 3.5 on the look ahead,
isn't about
6.5 on
I
the
don't
look
care
ahead.
about the over the
Yeah,
summer.
that's terrible.
Opened at 9.5. I just can't get there on taking something at 11.5 in this game. Now, I'm not going to bet the Jets. I would lean to the Bengals. I would prefer, and the way that I did bet this game, is going Cincinnati -6.5 first half. The Jets still have a goose egg on the board in the first quarter this season.
Yep.
The Bengals have been coming out of the gates hot in these wins that they've been getting, these upset wins that they've been getting. Obviously, massive favorites today. I think you're going to win. I just can't bet it.
So they're 1-5. Jets are ATS. But don't they have some assets in the secondary that could?
Stop.
I'm just saying it could help them sneak away with a backdoor cover
Name
here.
them.
No!
Name them.
Oh, absolutely not.
All right, Marcus May.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah. Anyone else?
Jamal Adams, no.
No. That was a great trade.
Look, I side with Julian a little bit more than Steve here in the sense that at 10.5, I actually liked it a lot more at 10.5.
What's wrong with these guys?
And
Yeah, I don't
historically, since 2018, because I know Bukes loves his history, at 10.5, the number, 24 teams or 24 games have been at that
my
number.
God.
And the away team is covered 67% of the time. At 11.5, it goes down to 0-4 away teams. Look, I'm not saying that. And these are just the numbers, right? Take it for what it's worth. Why Steve likes this, obviously, is it's a rookie. It's a quarterback, rookie quarterback. It's a quarterback that shouldn't be. It's not a starting quarterback. And you don't have Corey Davis either on the Jets side. So on the right side of this bet, Steve is. I don't know. I'm talking like Yoda, but I don't know if I can take this Cincy at 11.5.
So Jets terrible ATS on the season. The Vikings are not very good ATS. Last 7 home games 1-6, but this is your favorite bet today.
I don't mind getting my hands dirty, going
Yeah.
against some trends. Look, it's all about Dak Prescott. This game was Vikings +2 at a point in time, and then we learned the news that Prescott was unlikely to play. He'll try to play. I don't really mind either way.
Yeah, it sounds like they're not going to have a problem like keeping him out. They're looking long term. It's basically the message.
They're going to let him. They're going to let him warm up and look for a reason to sit him. It sounds like. Everything has to go perfect, and he's going to have to talk his way into being on the field. Now, if Prescott does play, there's something going on there. Otherwise, this wouldn't be a story all week. There wouldn't be 4.5 points of movement on this spread. And not to mention, this is a Cowboys team all season I've been saying is due for some regression. They've gotten a bit fortunate when it comes to the bounces. A Vikings team that had playoff aspirations got off to a rough start to the season. They need to bounce back and get a big win on a national stage against a national team on Sunday Night Football. I like this either way, but I'm assuming that Cooper Rush is going to be the quarterback here, which is going to give the Vikings a huge edge at home. It's that simple in this one.
I mean, both teams are coming off a bye here. I feel like this could be a compelling game if Dak goes. And Dallas, perfect ATS this year.
Yeah, well, in the winter of 2018, this line was -4 in front of the Cowboys. No, but really, obviously it comes down to if Dak Prescott is playing in this game or not. Now, even if he does play in this game, how healthy is he going to be? Is he legitimately going to be able to make it through the game? And that's the concern here, and that's why we've seen this line move so much, and that's why the Vikings are -2.5 favorites at this juncture. I would not want to be backing the Cowboys at this point now because of all this uncertainty with Dak. Quite frankly, I think they're in a worse position if Dak does play, because maybe he talked them into playing and maybe he shouldn't be playing. So, I don't want to back Cooper Rush. I don't want to, Cooper Rush, whatever this guy's name is.
If they had Cooper Kupp, that'd be pretty
that
good.
probably actually would be better. But I'd be siding with the Vikings on this one as well.
Who are you siding with?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to be ambitious and get your hands really dirty, you get the points with Dallas. And if Dak is in, then you're getting, because this line moved drastically from middle of the week, and now you're getting points on clearly the better team. Having said that, we talked about this earlier, that if Dak's not in, Vikings are going to lean on the run game. And if Dak's not in, the Cowboys are going to lean on the run game. That leads to a closer game. You might want to get the points, but I'm siding with Julian. If you want to attack this game, Minnesota has to be the play if Dak decides. Cooper Rush has thrown, I think, two attempts back in 2017. So not 2018 winter.
And you're also, I love that. Hang in there, Jules. I also love how you're backing the Chargers out west.
I am, yes. -4 against Julian Edlow's Patriots, New England Patriots.
And Steve's.
And Steve's Patriots. The Patriots beat the Chargers last year, 45-0, right? Justin Herbert's number.
That was with Cam Newton.
Yeah, Bill Belichick had Justin Herbert's number. It was not good for the Chargers. But again, different set of circumstances. And look at the Chargers' run defense has been bad, right? 162 yards on average per game to opposing running backs. But look at the teams that they face, the offenses that they face. Dallas, Kansas City, Vegas, Cleveland, Baltimore. Teams that can really beat you with the deep ball. They can go deep. They have a prolific pass game, more so than New England right now. And if you look at the Chargers, right, their pass defense is really solid. You're going to see a lot of dink and dunk, I assume, from a guy like Mac Jones. And again, I just think the better quarterback right now, by far, in my opinion, is Justin Herbert. I like this quite a bit coming off the bye. They got smoked by the Ravens the week before their bye, so I like this bounce back. And look, the Patriots guys have only played 2 games on the road. All of their close losses were all at home. And the one of those road games was Houston, where they almost lost. And if you almost lose to Houston and now you go away to the Chargers, it's a whole other ballgame.
Yeah, that was their first win at home, was last week against the Jets. They put up 54 against them, and I feel like because of that has boosted confidence in bettors here, Steve.
Yeah, I don't think that's wrong here, but I actually want to side with the Patriots in this one, getting the points, just because I think that, thank you very much. I think the Patriots are going to want to run the ball in this game. And if they run the ball in this game, that is how you beat the Chargers. They have one of the worst run defenses in the league. So if you're running the ball, slowing this game down, then I'll take the points here with New England. Reed's totally right. The better quarterback is on the Chargers side. What's going to happen with the Patriots on Mike Williams? Are they going to be looking to take Mike Williams out of this game instead of Keenan Allen? That could lead to a better game than we've seen from Keenan Allen as of late, but I just think that the Patriots are ready for this game here coming into this one. They're only 3-4 against the spread, but I think they can cover against the Chargers team. It's going to be a very close game, likely an under game too as well, so there's that as well. But I do think the Patriots at +4 is the 4.5 is the play here.
But Jules, we're talking a Chargers team that's been 4-1 ATS in their last 5 games as a home favorite.
We are, and they're coming off a bye, and they're coming off getting smoked in a game that a lot of people liked them. And yet, as of about 5 minutes ago, the splits from DraftKings Sportsbook, 38% of the money on the Patriots, 62% on the Chargers. Why has this come down from 6 to 4? Reverse line movement, that's what that's called, when more of the money is on one side, yet the spread is moving the other direction, is very tricky and is generally not something that I want to be a part of. So I'm not on the Patriots yet today, and frankly, you want them at 6, you don't want them at 4. But I'm not willing to get on the Chargers' side here. It's a spot that the Chargers should come through, but the Patriots aren't good. They've beaten, their only wins are Jets and Houston and Texan wins, and they had to come all the way back against the Texans. They really just own the Jets. But they were right there in those other ones. Maybe they're due to get some good bounces and get one of these games. It's just not a place that I'm willing to get involved.
Yeah, unless Belichick comes up with a game plan to completely throw off Herbert, it's
but that's
tough
what
to see the
we've
Chargers
said
losing.
every game, and then he did come up with a game plan to mess with Brady. He did come up with a game plan to stick with the Cowboys.
Yeah.
The Patriots' coaching has been questionable at times, certainly in Houston. But they've been in some of these games, and they are at home, as Reed said, in New England, most of those close ones. But this game's fishy.
Okay. All right, good stuff. We got plenty more Halloween hijinks to get to here, guys. Yeah, that's right. I did not write that, including Steve and Julian's hellish hot takes.
Don't even write your own scripts.
Listen.
I thought you were an actor.
I am an actor. That's why I'm acting like I wrote it.
Got
it.
Did it finish?
Good job.
All right, hold on. 3, 2, 1. But first, let's listen to fantasy football madman Pat Mayo as he gives us his favorite DFS plays on DraftKings this week.
Great job.
Great.
Oh, my God.
I'm Pat Mayo with your Week 8 DraftKings picks for the main slate, the millionaire slate on DraftKings. The early and late set of games on Sunday during Week 8. Where do you start your teams? Well, you want to start your teams with a stack, and there's a couple of really high-impact games that you can go for. You can look at that Tennessee and Indianapolis game. There's plenty of both expensive and cheap options, but it's really difficult to stack that because you don't really want to take Derrick Henry if you're also going with Ryan Tannehill and A.J. Brown. That correlation doesn't necessarily match up, as Henry's going to do most of his damage on the ground, which will not help out the other players. Maybe you go Wentz and Pittman. We'll see if T.Y. Hilton plays. I would like Pittman a lot if T.Y. Hilton sits in this contest. Mo Alley-Cox as well, potentially. Do a triple stack there, bring it back with Derrick Henry. You could be good to go in that facet of the game. You could go to the Chargers and just say, you know what? I think that the Chargers are going to lay the smackdown on the Patriots, or maybe I even take back a Brandon Bolden or a Damian Harris on the other side, but go Herbert, Mike Williams, and Keenan Allen. Very expensive to do, however. There's the Cincinnati side of the ball against the Jets. There is the Buffalo side of the ball, one that I actually like a lot here. I don't even know if I would bring it back with anyone on the Miami side, but you could triple stack up Josh Allen, pass by Stefan Diggs because he is so expensive, and just go to Cole Beasley and Emmanuel Sanders in this game. No Dawson Knox, so the target share should be a bit more condensed on the Buffalo side of the ball. And now we're dealing with the situation where if they do put up 40-plus points, which they have done in their past 3 home games against the Dolphins, and Diggs is just the man who gets left out, which is plausible because Xavier Howard is likely going to shadow him the entire time. Why force the ball to Steph Diggs when everyone else on the field is completely wide open? That makes a lot of intuitive sense to me, and that way you can save some of your money and still bring back some of the very high-end options. Like, just look at Darrell Henderson. That's the play in the Rams game. He burned everyone a week ago. They're 14-point favorites on the road in Houston. $6,500 for a guy who's going to touch the ball 20 times against a bad defense? It's a really cheap price, and he's only that price because he had a letdown week in Week 7. Despite seeing all the volume, the touchdowns didn't just break his way. The touchdowns break his way this week. All of a sudden, he's the best running back on the slate, coming in at an absolute value price. And that still leaves you, if you play the Buffalo stack, even more room to operate in this contest. Now, you want something cheap? I got something cheap for you, but you might have to watch the injury report on this one. Jerry Jeudy is returning for the Denver Broncos. The Broncos, sneaky beat-up defense. It's not really that good right now. Washington's defense, awful, especially their pass defense. You're not going to really run all over them. They're going to generate their sacks, but if you just kind of lob the ball up against their secondary, Washington's not coming down with it. You are coming down with it. So if you want to save a ton of money, Teddy Bridgewater, coming off a 10-day break as well. Don't forget that. They played last Thursday night, so the extended break to get everyone healthy. Jeudy, Sutton with Teddy Bridgewater. Very cheap. Then you can just bring it back with Terry McLaurin if he is active, so you have to watch, or just save all the money and use Ricky Seals-Jones, who continues to run more routes per gets more targets per route and more routes per dropback than almost any other tight end in football since Logan Thomas went out. He's $3,800. You put those 4 guys in a lineup, you can just go with Derrick Henry and Cooper Kupp and Darrell Henderson and anyone else you want at the very top end of any other position. And it really makes things easy. It's not for the weak of heart. It has the potential to go completely busto. But if you're looking for a cheap stack that has plenty of upside, the Denver passing game with the Ricky Seals-Jones bringback is one that's going to save you a ton of money and give you your expensive one-off options on Week 8 DraftKings main slate. Hope you enjoy. Hope you win this week. I'm Pat Mayo.
What happened?
Love getting Pat's favorite DFS plays. Now let's turn up the heat in here, okay? Steve and Julian are ready to dish out their hottest takes of the Week 8 slate. Take it away, fellas.
You start.
Oh, thank you, Jesse. I don't pay attention to the scripts.
Yeah, really professional.
All right, so Steve and I are going to give out some NFL Week 8 hot takes. Sorry, that was really funny to me.
I could tell.
So I'm going to start for us. Emerson Lotzia is laughing on the other side of the studio. We're going off the chains. Look, Jets quarterback situation has not been good this season.
No.
Zach Wilson now hurt, but he did have a couple of games flirting with 20 DraftKings points, over 250 yards. Now we get Mike White, I believe that's his name, 4th and 5th round pick. He said, I didn't know that he was even drafted. Got in there, threw for over 200 yards against the Patriots last week. We know nothing about this guy. He's going to be without Corey Davis in this game against the Bengals.
That's not good.
Nothing is going right for the Jets. And yes, I side with the Bengals on the first half spread. I think Steve's bet for the full game is even fine. But Mike White in this game will have a better fantasy game. Mike White might have his own better fantasy game later in the year, but he will have a better fantasy game against the Bengals than Zach Wilson will all season long. His points in this game will be higher than anything you see from number 2 overall pick, Zach Wilson, all season long. Do what you want with this information. I don't know if you need to start him. Play his player prop over. Steve's looking off camera because he doesn't like this. I would probably play his yardage over against the Bengals because you're going to find other better daily fantasy plays. Steve will argue and agree here.
Yeah.
But Mike White will have a better fantasy outing than you see all year from the number 2 overall pick, Zach Wilson, in the New York Jets.
I don't even know how to respond to such a stupid thing that you just spent over 2 minutes on. Like, we're here on Bally Sports, love the opportunity to be on your channel and be in everybody's homes. And we have Julian Edlow here, who we like to call an analyst, who we like to think is a little bit smarter than your average person, is going to come out here and tell you that Mike White's going to be a better quarterback than Zach Wilson throughout the whole 2021
This singular game will be better than any game that Zach Wilson puts forth.
That's wonderful. Mike White, who was drafted in 2018, was a 5th-round pick. Nobody even heard of him except his mother.
I still don't know who he is. I don't care who he is.
Exactly. All I'm just saying is, folks, we have a very informative show that we will give you knowledge all throughout the next hour or so. This is not one of those segments. So we're just going to move on to mine because what Julian Edlow just said was absolutely absurd and do nothing with that information. I'll give you a hot take that actually might happen. I'll give you some information that you can use and maybe put a little bit money in your pocket. Nothing to do with Mike White. How about this? The Lions, who have been vying for a win, will not only win here today, they are going to win by double digits. If you're not sure what double digits is, 10 or more, okay? For all you people that need some knowledge out there.
You're insulting our
I am not
audience.
You just insulted them with your stupid hot take, okay?
They don't know what double digits are?
They know what double digits is now, but here's the thing.
Wait a minute. So if the Lions win by 9, does that count?
No, because that would be under
it's
double
not
digits.
double digits. I get it.
That
now.
is the information that you need. But here's what I'm saying here, okay? The Philadelphia Eagles, get that one there? They're the 6th most points in the league, over 28 points per game. We saw the Lions come out on fire last week, going up against the Rams. Maybe a little, extra booster going up against their former quarterback, but I think this is where the Lions come through. Dan Campbell, he wants to win. He is vying to win. He is crying on the podium when they lose. They want to win. This is a team that they can beat. This is a team that they can do it again. The Lions get the first win by double digits, which is 10 or more.
Got it. I like the Lions to win this game. They're at home. They're against a rookie head coach, an Eagles team that has not been playing well at all. I don't really care if it's by double digits. Just take the plus 3.5. Take the plus money on the money line. Parlay it with an over on Mike White's passing yards.
Wow.
And now we've both made you money, plenty of plus money on the Lions money line, Mike White passing yards parlay there. I don't know if this segment will be back after this performance. Maybe we can do something else next week. But we gave you some takes that we think will come to fruition on Sunday.
There's two things that should happen. Next week we should do an underdog segment, and then we should also throw it back to Jessie Coffield so she can bring some sanity back to this show.
Well, she is warming here after those hot takes. I'm glad we can clarify what a double-digit number is. We still have primetime picks and our top DFS plays for this Sunday slate coming up, but let's switch gears and send it over to Emerson, who is standing by with someone who knows so much about football, it's scary.
All right, everybody, it's time to do that thing you like and get Tucker's takes. My best friend, who just so happens to be a former NFL lineman, is here, Ross Tucker. Dude, last week you said people are giving the Chiefs way too much credit, and you nailed it. They get crushed by the Titans, who are now just a small, teeny tiny favorite against the Colts. Is this more about Tennessee not getting enough credit or Indianapolis maybe getting too much?
No, I think Indianapolis is pretty good, man. I mean, I had them last week getting the points against the Niners. Look, out of the last 4 games the Colts have played, they've won 3 of them by double digits. Carson Wentz has thrown 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, 4 straight games. The only game they lost in that whole stretch was at Baltimore on the Monday night game, where they were up by 2 touchdowns the whole game and then blew it at the end. Their kickers missed kicks. Whatever. Everybody remembers what happened. The point is I think the Colts are pretty good. I think this line is fine. I actually like the Colts as part of a teaser leg. Tease the Colts as short favorites up a little bit, pair them with another game, and roll. It's a terrific teaser leg. I actually like them with the Vikings, teasing them up with the Vikings who play Sunday night against the Cowboys.
All right, well, Titans 5-1 ATS in their last 6 games. Something to keep in mind there. Let's go to the NFC South from the AFC South. Bucs are on the road to face the Saints, who don't have a whole lot to work with on the offensive side outside of Alvin Kamara. Tampa Bay hasn't been as sharp against the spread as their overall regular season record may suggest. How do you feel about New Orleans covering here?
You know, it's interesting because, as you know, I do the Even Money podcast each week, and my co-host is a stud. He likes the Saints, not me, man. I mean, they're so offensively challenged with Jameis Winston right now. I understand that the Bucs probably are going to go like 14-3, and this would be the type of game they would lose. And I will grant you that the Saints defense seems to have the Bucs number. But with Gronk back, with the way the Bucs are playing, with the way Jameis Winston and the Saints are playing, quite frankly, I'd rather lay it with the Bucs than take the points with the Saints.
All right, let's keep in that division because the Panthers have completely fallen off a cliff since starting the season 3-0 here, Ross. Falcons starting to play better as of late. They're the favorite at home. What are the chances you think, though, that Carolina claws its way back into the win column here?
You know, I'm going Atlanta until the Panthers prove differently, right? I mean, they've lost a bunch of games in a row. It feels like Sam Darnold is actually getting progressively worse. I think the Falcons are a pretty solid team. Kyle Pitts is a total freak of nature. He's a wide receiver in my mind. He's like a tight end in name only. Some of the catches he made last week against the Dolphins were incredible. I kind of like the Falcons in laying the points right now until Darnold and the boys show they can get it done.
All right, Ross, death, taxes, and the Patriots just destroying the Jets twice a year, every year. New England showing some signs of life on offense last week. Now heading west to LA to face the Chargers. So we got the Hunter Henry revenge game, speaking of tight ends. Think the Pats can keep this one close at all?
Well, listen, I think they can. I mean, that's a decent amount of points to give Bill Belichick. And let's not forget how the Patriots and Mac Jones played against both the Cowboys and the Bucs. Both of those games were very winnable games that the Patriots were right there. I think those two teams are better than the Chargers, and you're going to give the Patriots this many points? Give me New England. Give me Mac Jones. Give me Belichick and the points.
Yeah, Patriots have been better on the road this season than at home. But Chargers, by the way, 4-1 ATS in their last 5. home games as the favorite. What's another spread that you're chasing that you have your eye on?
Boy, I really like Detroit getting the points. You know, Detroit's been competitive a lot this year. I know they're 0-7, but this is not like an 0-17 team. I think they're going to win a game or two, and home against the 2-5 Eagles, who are really struggling. This feels like the type of game that the Lions would win or could win. So if you're going to give me points when I think there's a decent chance they win the game outright, I'm going to take them. Give me the Lions and the points against the Eagles.
All right, Ross Tucker, that's how you do what you just did. We will miss you until next week. But for now, Jessie Coffield, the floor is yours.
Ross is never scared to share his opinion with us. And coming up, our analysts will tell us exactly what gives them the chills on this Sunday slate on our new segment, The Sunday Scaries. But first, check out friend of the program, Gary Vaynerchuk, as he drops some knowledge on us about one of DK's latest podcasts.
Hey guys, it's Gary V. Make sure you tune in to DraftKings YouTube channel for Die Hard Dialogue, where each week we do a listener league, DFS, and give away some of my highly valuable football cards, and we boost one prop bet. Die Hard Dialogue, DraftKings YouTube channel.
DraftKings Sportsbook is an official sports betting partner of the NFL, and today, new customers can bet $5 on their team to win, and if they do, you walk away with $200. Plus, new fantasy players can play free for your share of millions this season when you make your first deposit. Just download any of the apps and use promo code SWEAT.
All right, people, we told you earlier about our Week 8 Millie Maker contest, but feast your eyes here on the winner of last week's $1 million contest. Megan Joy pulled off the win by less than a point. They used the stack of Matt Stafford and Cooper Kupp to bring home the Millie combo that has given opposing defenses nightmares this season. And this next segment may not be the stuff of nightmares, but it will help us find out what gives our analysts the creeps. Oh yes, as we debut the Sunday Scaries. And here to help us out, Reed T. Fowler, good to have you here. Jeff Ulrich and Mr. Pierce Dietrich. Jeff, I thought you were going to be in costume, so this is already super disappointing. Okay, so we need you guys here to tell us which players I guess you're going to steer clear of, because they're just going to be so scary that you want absolutely nothing to do with them here in Week 8. We're going to start with the scariest quarterback on the slate. Reed T. Fowler, you're up.
Yeah, it's Matt Ryan. Calvin Ridley got ruled out earlier today, and look, Matt Ryan, he's at what, $5,200? $5,900. So he's at that price tag where you can play him. And if you look at his game logs, it's been nice for Ryan. But look who he's faced. He hasn't faced really anybody of stature right now, right? He's faced the Dolphins, Washington football team, the Giants, and you know, those aren't teams that you really are going to play bad against. Look, Matt Ryan has had bad games early in the year, but at the same time, if you look at guys around his price tag, Carson Wentz is there. I know Jeff is going to say something about Carson Wentz that he doesn't like, but again, Matt Ryan against those bad teams. And now look, this is not like a team Carolina that you're going to be worried about, but at the same time, I just want to stay away. Either pay up for a guy like Josh Allen and save elsewhere, or stay away from Matt Ryan and go down.
I mean, Pierce, you're going with Ryan too. What else can you add to that?
He's faced the second easiest schedule this season, and you might say, hey, Carolina's not a very good defense either, but they're getting Shaq Thompson back. Stephon Gilmore is going to be his first game with this secondary that already features A.J. Bouye, C.J. Henderson, Dante Jackson. This could be a really good secondary, and as already mentioned, Ridley's out. I would stay away from away this week.
Yep, you're going to stay away from Matt Ryan. Jeff, who are you staying away with? Which quarterback is just so scary for you? There you are, Jeff. Wow, that fits your head perfectly.
I mean, I just didn't want to make other people feel bad because apparently you guys don't get paid enough to buy costumes.
Oh,
but, I mean, anyways,
whoa!
That's a knock against. Wow.
Careful.
Okay, we'll tell draft. We'll tell
Careful, our
DraftKings.
bosses are watching right
Yeah.
now.
Wow. Okay. Thank you, Jeff.
I'm going to stay away from Carson Wentz, as Reed alluded to. People want to, the ownership projections here started to get a little bit of heat on Carson Wentz, and it's a player who's thrown for over 260 yards once on the season. Like, I do get it. It's Tennessee, and they're typically a great secondary, but man, the Colts just they don't throw the ball that much, and this isn't a team that wants Carson Wentz dropping back 40 times a game. I think they're going to do everything in their power most weeks to stop that. So even in a good matchup, like I would be very careful with this. He's not the most accurate quarterback. We know the turnovers. He's actually been good at not turning the ball over that much this year, although we've certainly seen some weird things from him last couple weeks with the fumbles and stuff. But this is just a player who I just don't think his upside is there. I mean, realistically, even at under 6K on DraftKings, just not a player that incites anything except fear from me.
Okay, that's okay. Pierce, who fills you with fear when we're talking running backs? Who's giving you the Sunday scaries today?
Kenneth Gainwell is giving me the heebie-jeebies. He seemed like he was going to be a pretty good value play earlier this week, but Jordan Howard's been activated. We know Boston Scott's going to cut into some of those carries. I just don't think the volume's going to be there. You got to worry about Jalen Hurts poaching touchdowns. And oh, by the way, Philadelphia doesn't like to run the ball to begin with. I know it's a great matchup, but I just don't see this one working out. And he's not even really saved you that much money.
Jeff, what about you, dude?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just going to continue to fade what is basically the scariest rush defense in the league, and that's, the New Orleans Saints here. I mean, I'm just nothing about Leonard Fournette. And again, it's just scary. I mean, they're allowing 3.3 yards per carry. I get it. Fournette's playing good this year. It's a great bounce back year. I'm glad for him, but this is not a spot, in what is essentially the most high volume pass offense in the league, where I think you want to jump on their lead running back, because if Fournette doesn't get you there in the pass game this week, the touchdowns and the yardage probably aren't going to be there on the ground. So at 6,300, he's even more expensive than I remember. So he's scary, man.
Reed, scariest running back in your eyes?
Yeah, Najee Harris. $7,500 scares me a bit. This is a low game total. Like, you want that. He has the volume, clearly. He is the lead guy in snap count in that Steelers backfield. But this is a tough defense. This is a stingy defense. This is a divisional matchup. Even them coming into this, like, Najee Harris has had big games, but I just don't like it. And especially with DeAndre Swift now, with Jamal Williams out at $7,100, you have a James Robinson in the mid-6s, who I think is drastically mispriced. I'd rather go down there as opposed to pay out for Najee, even with all that volume.
All right, Jeff, who's freaking you out at wide receiver? Could it possibly be a guy who's not even playing today?
Yeah, initially it was Calvin Ridley.
Right.
It was going to be Calvin Ridley. A lot of the things that the guys said about Matt Ryan obviously affected that. But let's also go to another guy who's kind of scary, and Cole Beasley, 4,900. Beasley has shown up. He had 9 targets last week, but the 2 weeks before that, only 2 targets 2 weeks in a row. Emmanuel Sanders is the better player here, like he is, and you've seen that through the volume. Sanders has been really consistent, whereas Beasley, he shows up and then he disappears. Kind of expecting another disappearing act. People seem to be getting on him, maybe because of the Dawson Knox news, but they have Tommy Sweeney at tight end too. I don't think it's really going to affect Beasley's targets much. Maybe he gets there, but this is a player who, again, getting some ownership love because the Bills have a big implied team total. He's scary though, man, for lots of reasons.
Yeah, Pierce, it's kind of scary that your wide receiver tried to give away Tom Brady's 600 touchdown football last week.
I fear Mike Evans like Mike Evans fears Marshawn Lattimore. If you go back to 2017, you might remember Mike Evans taking a cheap shot on Marshawn Lattimore. You can Google it up and watch the fight. But since that fight, Mike Evans, in those 5 games, is averaging 2 catches and 24 yards per game. Lattimore owns Evans. Don't play Evans.
Okay, Reed, and you're scared of wide receivers going up against a pretty weak secondary.
Yeah, Cortland Sutton against Washington football team, and I think that's a red herring, right? You look at that matchup, it's great, it's fantastic, but you get Jerry Jeudy back, and Cortland Sutton is at that 6K, that mid 6K price. I think there's other places to go, especially when you have some of these guys ruled out. I just am a little scared of that because we just don't know. And look what Jerry Jeudy did in the first half of week 1. He had 13.2 DK fantasy points in just one half. I think you go back to that if you're Teddy Bridgewater. So a little bit scared, Cortland.
Reed, the tight end inside your head giving you nightmares is who?
Pat Freiermuth. No, Pat Freiermuth. Look, Eric Ebron is out, and everybody loves Patty F here, right? Freiermuth. He's a great look. He's got a lot of intangibles. He was great in college. Kind of reminds you of Cole Kmet, right? Kind of reminds you of that type of receiver who's got a lot of talent that just needs an opportunity. I don't like it. I like your boy Emerson Darnold.
Yep. Dan
Arnold in Jacksonville a little bit better, or we're paying all the way up for Kyle Pitts because Calvin Ridley is out. That receiving prop was at 64.5, 62.5. I think he smashes through that. So I'd rather pay up or give me a guy like Dan Arnold.
Pierce, which tight end's giving you the Sunday scaries?
Noah Fant. If we don't like Cortland Sutton, then we're going to have to be scared for Noah Fant. Judy's back. I don't know how much of an impact it's going to have, but it's not like Fant was really on fire when Judy was out. At the end of the day, you're chasing a touchdown. If you're going to chase a touchdown, why pay this price? Go with a cheap tight end like Freiermuth.
Jeff, is there anyone you're not scared of at tight end today?
No. Have you looked at this slate? There's no Darren Waller, no Travis Kelce, no Mark Andrews. This might be the scariest thing you see all of Halloween, just looking at the tight end list on DraftKings for daily fantasy. I'm going to go with TJ Hawkinson as my main scary, just because he's so expensive. And who knows what Jared Goff is going to, who knows who Jared Goff is going to throw to this week. It's probably just going to be DeAndre Swift 15 times. But the main theme of the week is this is ridiculous. This is one of the worst tight end player pools I've ever seen on DraftKings for a week with all these elite names out. I think Pierce nailed it. Just go with someone cheap, Freiermuth or whoever you decide to pick. You know, the cheap tight ends is probably where you want to go because at least you're saving money to put into other positions.
All right, let's go to the DK Sportsbook real quick. Pierce, what is the scariest bet on the board in your eyes today, man?
Colts minus 2.5 over the Titans. The Titans were favorites when this thing opened up. Now they're 2.5-point dogs, and people like the Titans. The public likes the Titans because of what they've done in the last 2 weeks. The public likes the Colts, but both these teams have holes all over the place. I don't know what's going to happen. This is just good luck picking this one. It's scary. It is.
Jeff, what scares you on the DK Sportsbook?
A 16.5 line to cover.
Ooh.
That's what the Rams have to cover, man. That many points scares me. The Rams could barely beat the Detroit Lions at home last week. Now that we're asking them to cover 16.5 points, I get it. It's the Texans, but the Rams defense, teams have been able to run on them a little bit. This one's on the road. I'm not calling for an upset or anything ridiculous like that. And I know Davis Mills is still starting, not Tyrod Taylor, but man, the Rams have shown us a few times under McVay, when they're this big dogs, you fade them. This one is so big, it's beyond scary.
Yeah, third double-digit spread that you can find on the DK Sportsbook, which Steve Buchanan told us earlier. That means at least 10. Reed, bring us home.
Dude, I am freaking out, man.
Yeah, you
I'm
got a dart in there,
man. Tampa Bay -4. This line has fluctuated between -4, -4.5. And if you're on the Saints side, look, I mean, it's crazy. Sean Payton is really good at covering these spreads when he gets points. If you look historically, back in 2018, they're 10-2 ATS with a margin of victory of double digits, Steve, over 10 points in terms of their plus-minus differential to the spread. It's scary, right? We know that the Bucs and Tom Brady is so good. Do we know that Jameis Winston is going to do well in this revenge narrative? Is not going to be super emotional. It's scary to bet that one of the best teams in the NFL right now. But, I digress.
Well, all three of you have been scary good for this past segment, and all of you watching could be scary rich tonight if you enter the Week 8 Millie Maker. $3.5 million prize pool here, people. First place takes home a fat millie. All you need is $20 to enter. So while we take a quick break here, why don't you pop over to DraftKings? You got 20 minutes until lineups lock. Enter the contest for your shot at $1 million, and we will be right back.
DraftKings Sportsbook is an official sports betting partner of the NFL, and today, new customers can bet $5 on their team to win, and if they do, you walk away with $200. Plus, new fantasy players can play free for your share of millions this season when you make your first deposit. Just download any of the apps and use promo code SWEAT. Welcome back to our spooky Halloween edition of The Sweat, presented by DraftKings on Bally Sports Network. I'm Jessie Coffield, joined by DraftKings contributors Pierce Dietrich and Jeff Ulrich. Fellas, we've talked a lot about all the games on the main Sunday slate, but now we need to get your primetime picks. I'm talking favorite DFS and sportsbook plays for Sunday Night Football and Monday Night Football. So Pierce, let's start with your favorite DFS play for Cowboys at Vikings.
I'm going to go with Tyler Conklin at 4,400. Save you a little bit of money so you can afford some of the big stars. The Cowboys ranked dead last in DVOA against tight ends. Conklin's coming off a 5-catch, 70-yard performance. His baseline right now for this game is about 4 catches for 30 yards. That's okay. If he gets into the touchdown, you're great. But ultimately, I just want the savings and the pretty much guaranteed points here and an easy matchup against the Cowboys.
Yeah, in 6 games, he's averaging 40 yards per game, and he's scored 1 touchdown. Jeff, kind of surprised with your pick, considering Dak Prescott's going to be a game-time decision here.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, death taxes and Pierce taking a tight end in our segment here. I am going with Amari Cooper, though, and yeah, this is predicated on a lot of things. You know, I think we probably want Dak Prescott to start here if we're taking Amari Cooper, but let's assume he's starting. Amari Cooper is the 8th most expensive player on this slate, and I get it. All the hype right now is with CeeDee Lamb. He's leading the team in targets, but we've seen this act from Amari Cooper numerous times. He has a massive game, and then he disappears for like 4-5 weeks at a time. And then you know what he does? He pops up with another massive game. He's still averaging 7 targets a game. This Minnesota pass defense, they've allowed 3 games to wide receivers so far with 100 yards, more of a touchdown. It's not good. They're in a dome in Minnesota. This is the kind of environment where Amari Cooper typically goes off. And again, it really comes down to price. Amari Cooper is $4,000 less than CeeDee Lamb, the captain. So, yeah, we want Dak Prescott here. And if Cooper Rush ends up starting, I mean, you maybe lean towards the pass game or Zeke Elliott. But for now, I'm going to assume Dak is probably, he's questionable, but I'm going to assume he's probably going to start. And if he does, I want Amari Cooper in my captain spot because he's way too cheap.
All right, Jeff, let's look at this one from a sportsbook angle here. What's your favorite bet on the board for this one?
Yeah, I like going to Kirk Cousins, and I like going to Kirk Cousins to throw an interception at plus 100. This is a Dallas team who's got a lot of talent in their secondary right now. They lead the league in interceptions with 11, and it's Kirk Cousins on prime time. I mean, his interception rate over his career, it's been about, to throw one at least every second game. And again, you look at his record in primetime games, man, it's not good. So whenever you're getting plus money against a pretty talented secondary, he's been very, very opportunistic. I think you take it on Kirk Cousins. And, again, all the credit to Dallas here. They've put some talent in the back. But I think getting plus money in the spot for Kirk Cousins to turn it over once through the air with an interception, I think that's a really good bet this week.
All right, Pierce, you're going with a guy who just had a big game against a good defense.
Adam Thielen with a reception over 22.5 yards. Dallas ranks second worst when it comes to allowing 20-plus yard receptions. And Thielen is 13th this season with 8 20-plus yard catches. And we've seen Dallas get into these shootouts basically every game for the last 2 seasons. So there's going to be plenty of offense. So I'll take the over here. You can also consider Justin Jefferson as well. I think it's 25.5 for him.
All right, moving on over to the Monday night contest. What's your favorite DFS play for Giants at Chiefs, Pierce?
It's Daniel Jones. We talk about Daniel Jones a lot on here, but Kansas City is the worst pass defense, the second worst rush defense. They have a terrible pass rush. Basically, just think of it this way. If Daniel Jones and the Giants were playing the Jaguars, you wouldn't have any question of playing. Plus, though, Jones and the Giants are 10-point dogs, so that means they're going to be playing from behind. That means they're going to be passing. You're going to get a lot of action from Jones. This is a no-brainer.
All right, Jeff, where are you going?
I think there's a lot of value in attacking with the New York Giants passing game as well. They're averaging over 39 pass attempts. They can't run the ball. There's no Saquon back there. It's like Pierce said, it's basically like playing a bottom 5 defense. Why not go there? I like looking at Dante Pettis. I want to attack with the New York Giants wide receiver situation. This situation is up in the air, though. Kadarius Toney is questionable. Game time decision. Sterling Shepard questionable. But Dante Pettis, if one of those guys get ruled out, I think is going to be a big play. 16 targets over the last 2 games. He's been the most effective wide receiver with those other guys out. I don't think he's just going to get sent to the bench automatically either with Toney and Sterling Shepard being not 100% obviously. So I think Dante Pettis at 5,000 in the flex. And, if those guys do play, like if Toney does play, no one's going to play Dante Pettis. So there's a lot of interesting sort of GPP leverage spots with some of these secondary and tertiary Giants wide receivers in a very good spot. Pettis is a high pedigree guy. Everyone loved this guy 3 years ago in San Francisco. Then he got cut. He's played really good the last couple weeks. I think Dante Pettis is a name you want to keep an eye on for daily fantasy for the showdown on Monday night.
All right, finally, Jeff, what's your favorite bet for Giants at Chiefs?
Okay, let's go into the game props here. Again, we're playing Kansas City. Every team outside of the Washington football team has scored at least 3 touchdowns versus Kansas City this year. You can get New York Giants team touchdown total plus 125 to go over 2.5. So they need to score 3 touchdowns. Just the Giants. It doesn't matter who it is. 3 Giants touchdowns on the day against Kansas City at plus 125. Yes, this is a prop I want here. Again, we've got some of these Giants players perhaps coming back healthy this week too. That's going to help. But give me the Giants over 2.5 touchdowns, man. Yes.
All right, Pierce, you're liking the New York Giants side of things too.
Daniel Jones over 21.5 rushing yards. When I looked at this, I thought, well, if I can get him at 25, I love this play against Kansas City. And it's 21.5. You look at his game log, Jones loves to run. 27 rushing yards, 95 rushing yards, 39, 27. He didn't hit against Dallas because he got injured. The next week against the Rams, it was a blowout, and he wasn't that healthy. He wasn't 100% healthy. Then the next game back, though, 28 rushing yards. Jones loves to run. This is a bad defense. This is an easy one.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. Pierce and Jeff just gave you their thoughts on this week's primetime matchups. And earlier in the week, Adam Kaufman caught up with Nick Eatman of DallasCowboys.com as he gave us his insight on how the Cowboys are approaching tonight's showdown with the Vikings and discussed how head coach Mike McCarthy has the boys playing at the top of their game.
Nick, with this team at 5-1, is head coach Mike McCarthy getting enough credit for this hot start, considering there were so many people calling for his head in year 1 last year?
No, he's not getting enough credit. He probably won't. I mean, that's just the way I guess it's going. And I'm not sure exactly why that is. I think Dane Quinn has come in, and it's like, it's probably a lot about Dan Quinn with the defense, and rightfully so. And then Kellen Moore, is calling the plays. And so, when you don't call the plays one way or another, then yeah, it takes a little bit of time to be considered a really, really good coach and get all that praise. You have to do it for a long, long time. And so, no, he's not getting enough credit, but I think that he's built a pretty good culture here and established that in the last couple of seasons. And so far it's working.
You mentioned Dak Prescott. Let's get back to him. As we know, he runs the NFL's top offense. Of course, strained that right calf in New England. The injury happened on the final play of overtime. So as you said, good time for the bye in that sense. He had the walking boot to the news conference. So obviously he benefited from the time off. How's he feeling going into the showdown with the Vikings this weekend? Any skepticism as to whether he'll play?
I think that he's going to play. I do. I don't think he'll be 100% where, he'll be able to just take off and run. I think anybody watching this game would be able to say he's dealing with something, which that's fine. I mean, he can still function and still be the quarterback, and he may not take off and run as much. He may not do as many quarterback sneaks, but after you saw what happened in New England, maybe he shouldn't. But I just think that he'll be limited in some way. I still think he'll be good enough to function, run the offense, and be effective.
Dak was great in Foxborough. Cowboys' first win there since 1987. He had 445 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, 149 of those yards, 2 scores went to CeeDee Lamb. It felt like even more, too, for those watching the game. Yeah. Is Lamb taking his game to another level with that career contest, or was that, I don't know, more isolated?
Well, I mean, we were all wondering what Bill Belichick was going to take away, and it was really clear. He tried to take away some of the run. He tried to take away Amari Cooper, and that's what happens. That's what this offense is designed to do, is if you take away somebody, then they've got other options, and that's what happened. It was really clear, though, that Amari Cooper was getting doubled. He was getting tripled at a couple of plays, just bracketed over the top. And they pretty much dared CeeDee Lamb and Dak to beat him, and that's what happened. And so that's what this offense is about. You'll see games where now you got to stop CeeDee Lamb, and Amari Cooper could do all that. So it was a big time performance from CeeDee. I'm with you. In the third quarter, I was like, how many yards does he have? And it was like 82, and I was like, wow, I thought it would be way more than that. He had some productive plays, none bigger than the overtime touchdown.
When there's that much offense, half dozen guys who were impactful, almost 600 total yards, is there anything you can really take away from that going forward, or was it just kind of one of those games where everything went right?
Well, I don't think everything did go right. They were in that game in the second half, fourth quarter, and I don't think they should have been. I don't think it should have been much of a game. And that, no disrespect to the Patriots, but they're not there yet. They're in a rebuilding year. Of course, they had a big win last week against the Jets, but
they're the Jets.
And Mac Jones impressed me big time the way he played. Really, the way he got up from that sack from Randy Gregory. But I thought the Cowboys did some things, fumbling the ball. 2 turnovers inside the red zone there. That game probably shouldn't have been as close as it was, but give the Patriots credit for keeping it that way. So I think as great as it looked from the Cowboys offensively, they actually had some miscues that kept that game closer than it should have been. That's my take on that.
All right, everybody. We are closing in on kickoff here, but we are not done yet. I'm back, Reed's back, Steve's back, Julian's back, and we're ready to get real. So it's time to work up a sweat here. We are physically doing that already because it's 1,000 degrees in this little studio.
Correct. Flannel was a bad choice.
It was a terrible, terrible choice.
Festive.
It's a good Halloween shirt, I thought.
We need to know what last-minute DFS takes you have for this Sunday slate. Maybe you're unsure about something. Maybe you're changing your mind the last minute. It's all on the table. Fowler, start us off.
I don't know, the guys are going to laugh at me about this, but they laugh at me about most things. Theodore Bridgewater and one Jeremiah. I don't know if Jeremiah's his first name. Jerry Jeudy. I want more of the. I want to stack that more than I should right now. The Washington football team. Look, they're bad. They're the worst against opposing quarterbacks. Everybody. The worst against everybody. Exactly. $5,400 at about 5% roster percentage. Jerry Jeudy is right below that, 4,900, and he's probably going to come in around the same percentage. So now you're getting a pretty decent stack against the worst defense for a very, very low roster percentage. So if you want to fit in guys that are more expensive, maybe you want Kamara, maybe you want Derrick Henry. I don't think you need to, but maybe you want Kyle Pitts at that tight end position because it's scary. Teddy Bridgewater and Jerry Jeudy allow that. So that, I'm a little scared of Cincy. I'm just a little scared of Cincy right now.
All right. What about you? Anything you're rethinking? Mostly everything you have to deliver to the people at home is correct.
Well, I mean, thank you very much, and I'm glad that we could acknowledge that. You know, people need to acknowledge me, but here's what I'm going to propose here too. Like in some of those games that have the really high spreads, those double-digit spreads, which by the way you learned is 10 or more. To do like a three-man stack on the team that's favored, so like that Buffalo Bills game where they're 14-point favorites against the Dolphins, getting Josh Allen with Stephon Diggs, and then mixing up a little bit and maybe getting someone like Zach Moss in there too as well to kind of round out the game. I talked about this a couple times during the week. The Rams stack was really the big moneymaker last week with Stafford, Cooper Kupp, and Darrell Henderson. Even though Henderson had a pretty much a dud of a game, that's because the Lions got out to that early lead. But if had things gone the way we thought it would have, Henderson would have absolutely smashed in that game too as well. So don't worry about using three guys in that one. I like using the wide receiver, quarterback, and running back combo.
Jules, what about you, dude?
Tough to argue with the facts when you come out and say that double digits means 10 or more.
I know.
So yes, that will make Steve
right
right a
5
lot.
seconds before we came on air, it's like, hey, you've changed. I'm like, what are you talking about, dude? That's why I'm like being nice. No, it's not. Go ahead, Jules.
Anyhow, what I'm adjusting to here, this NFL slate has been a lot like NBA slates in the sense we get Jamal Williams out, DeAndre Swift becomes a good, strong, chalky play against the terrible Eagles run D. Calvin Ridley out personal reasons again. We get Kyle Pitts, who's been on fire lately, becoming or remaining a larger piece of that Atlanta offense. Those guys are great plays, great cash plays, but you know, if you want to mix one in, fine, and still be a little contrarian, but if you had a lineup that you liked before that news, just stick with it. Yeah. Keep it there. Maybe those guys will bust, and it turns out that your lineup that you had set before becomes even stronger, even more contrarian due to the news.
All right, 2 minutes left in show here, guys. It's time to make it rain. You're going to give us your DFS play that is going to absolutely make it rain cash for people at home. Hopefully in that Millie Maker, only $20 to enter, and you got 2 minutes to do so. Buke, you're up first.
Yeah, real quick, just Josh Allen going up against the Dolphins. The Dolphins have been very generous to opposing quarterbacks, allowing an average of 23 DraftKings fantasy points, over 300 passing yards. Josh Allen with the rushing ability, too, just makes him one of the safest plays on the slate.
Kind of feels like it. Fowler, what about you, man?
Darrell Henderson, snaps week 7, 88%, routes at 67%. Not going to get 2 busts in a row where he's in a great spot, and he's still too cheap. So give me Darrell Henderson.
Jules.
Yeah, I told you maybe fade the chalk, but I'm going to some chalk. DeAndre Swift is in too good of a spot against the Eagles' run defense. 133 yards per game on the ground. Jamal Williams had double-digit carries. That means 10 or more in 4 over the last 5 games. A lot of that workload going to Swift. He's going to have a really good spot.
Woo. Okay, all right, and then your Make It Rain candy pick. Let's go. We got a minute to go. Let's show. All right, Reese's. Anything peanut butter, right, is the absolute best. Peanut butter,
Twix
chocolate.
is a close second for me.
Oh, wow.
Little
cookie, little caramel, little chocolate in there, too.
Follower and I are on the exact same page, like Reese's and then Twix. But we talked about it earlier, Blow Pops.
That's
very
underrated non-chocolate candy for sure.
Reese's, take 5. They got the pretzels in them, the caramel in them. They're really good.
It flies under the radar. Like with the whatchamacallit.
Correct name, it's Reese's. It's not Reese's.
Well, then it's like tomato, potato.
Tomato, tomato, Falcons.
Yeah,
Good
you don't
point.
need to get into this.
Jules got a good point.
All right, everyone go to Jules' house tonight because he's the rich place. Is where you can get the king-size candy bars.
And bad advice.
Definitely not
Sorry to
true.
let you down.
All right, everybody. We'll see you next
Happy
week
Halloween.
at noon. Yes, have a safe day.